The woman at the farmer's market stopped so fast that the people behind her nearly walked into her back. She grabbed her daughter's arm and pointed straight at me. "That's her," she whispered, loud enough for my grandchildren to hear every word. "That's Sweet Silver Needles. Let me take you back to how it all started. My name is Dorothy. I'm 71 years old, and I live alone in a little ranch house outside of Asheville, North Carolina. I have 2 cats, Biscuit and Fig, a vegetable garden that gets too much shade on one side, and more yarn than any sensible person should admit to owning under one roof. My husband Gerald passed 8 years ago. He was the kind of man who believed that keeping your hands busy was the most honest form of prayer. He built furniture in the garage on weekends. I knitted. We were quiet people who didn't need a lot of noise to feel at home with each other. I started knitting seriously the winter after he passed. I had to do something with the evenings. By spring, I had finished 16 blankets, 22 hats, and a set of dishcloths in a pattern I made up myself that my neighbor Ruth Ann said looked like a river. She asked if she could buy one. I said yes before I'd thought about it. That was the beginning of it, really. More friends asked. Then friends of friends. By 2019, I'd opened a shop online under the name Sweet Silver Needles, which was Ruth Ann's suggestion. I spent 2 weeks learning the photography before I listed a single item. I wanted the pictures to look right. My son Marcus lives in Charlotte with his wife Patris and their 2 kids, Caleb, who is 19, and Jade, who is 17. They drove up for Thanksgiving last year, and I made a turkey, 3 pies, and set the good tablecloth. It started at lunch. I reached for my phone to check the time. I still use a flip phone. Have for years. I know how to use a smartphone. I own one, an iPhone that lives in my desk drawer for when I need it. But the flip phone is what I reach for out of habit, and I have never felt any particular need to explain that. Caleb saw it, and his fork stopped halfway to his mouth. "Grandma," he said, "is that a flip phone?" Like an actual flip phone. I said yes, it was. "Do you even know how to use the internet?" Not cruel. Just genuinely curious in the way 19-year-olds are when they've already made up their minds about the answer. I told him I got along fine. He looked at his sister. Jade pressed her lips together. That look said everything without saying a single word. The real sting came that evening. I was washing dishes in the kitchen when I heard them in the living room. Sound carries well in a small house. My hearing is excellent. She literally doesn't know how to use Amazon. Jade was saying. I tried to show her how to order yarn online, and she just kept blinking at the screen like it was in a foreign language. She's not stupid, Caleb said. I gave him credit for that much. She's just from a different time. You can't expect her to get it. From a different time. Not tech-savvy. I stood at that sink and let those words find their place. Marcus said nothing. My son, who I drove to every baseball practice and every piano recital and every late-night deadline for 18 years, just let it pass. I dried my hands, hung up the dish towel, went to my study. Here is what they didn't know. What nobody in my family knew was that I had been running an online shop since 2019. A real business. Sweet Silver Needles. As of that Thanksgiving, I had a 4.9-star rating across 462 customer reviews. A waiting list that stayed 3 months long, year-round, no matter how much I produced. I'd figured out the platform in a weekend. The photography took longer, 2 weeks of tutorials, before I felt the lighting was right. The listings, the tags, the customer messages, the shipping labels, all of it from my laptop, in the study that sat just down the hall from where my grandchildren called me clueless. I hadn't told anyone on purpose. Not out of any plan. Just because I'd learned, over 71 years of living, that some things are better protected by silence. The business was mine. It felt like it belonged to me, in a way that very few things had since Gerald died. What I found in my inbox, that April stopped me cold. A message from a customer named Priya, who had just received the last blanket on my February list. She wrote 3 paragraphs. She said she'd cried when she opened the box because her mother had owned a blanket almost exactly like it, a blanket lost in a house fire. She said mine felt like getting something back. I printed that message. I still have it in my desk drawer. After Thanksgiving, I went back to work. December is my busiest month. 43 orders, 3 custom commissions, and a corporate order from a boutique hotel in Savannah that wanted hand-knitted stockings for their lobby mantle. 14 stockings, all different sizes, all with custom monograms knitted into the cuffs. I worked every evening. Biscuit supervised from the arm of my chair. Fig slept on the window seat and contributed nothing, as usual. Marcus called in January. We talked about the grandkids, Petrus's new job, the porch step I still hadn't fixed. 40 minutes on the phone. He never once asked what I'd been up to. Spring came. I fulfilled orders, shipped packages to customers in Vermont, in Oregon, in London. A woman in London who ordered a set of tea cozies every single year without fail and always wrote the most gracious thank you note. When Marcus called in May to invite me to the Buncombe County Farmers Market in June, I said yes. Saturday outing, he said. The grandkids would be there. I wore my good linen blouse, the pale blue one. I brought my canvas tote. I wasn't expecting anything in particular. We'd been walking the market for about 40 minutes when it happened. A woman, 40 or so, dark hair, yellow sundress, stopped cold in the middle of the path. She had a small child on her hip and grabbed the arm of the teenager beside her. Mom, stop. Look. She was pointing directly at me. I thought for a moment she had me confused with someone else. That happens at a certain age. You start to resemble everyone's aunt. But she walked straight toward me, and her face had that particular expression that only comes with genuine, unplanned surprise. Are you? She stopped. Are you Sweet Silver Needles? The market was loud all around us. A bluegrass duo played somewhere near the tomato tables. But in that patch of path, it felt very quiet. I smiled. I am. I said. The sound she made was something between a laugh and a gasp. I have been on your waiting list for 8 months. 8 months. She said it like she was still processing the number. I have 3 of your blankets at home. And my daughter is wearing one of your hats right now. The little girl on her hip wore a cream-colored cable-knit beanie with a small strawberry at the crown. I remembered that hat. Custom order, early March. The customer had asked for something cheerful. That's my Rosie stitch. I said. I'm glad it held up. She turned to the teenager beside her. I told you she was a real person. Then back to me. Would you take a photo with us? My followers, they are going to absolutely lose their minds. I could feel my family behind me. Very still. I turned around. Marcus had his mouth slightly open, in that way he'd had since he was a small boy. Jade was on her phone, typing quickly. Caleb stood very still, working something out. Grandma. Jade said slowly, looking up. Sweet Silver Needles, is you? I said yes. That shop has. She typed. Looked up again. Grandma. 462 5-star reviews. 463. I said. Someone left one yesterday. Very kind woman from Portland. The woman introduced herself. Her name was Priya. I knew that name. She was the one who had written to me in April. The 3 paragraphs, the house fire, the blanket that felt like getting something back. I didn't say that in the moment. I just smiled and took the photo. Priya asked what needles I preferred. She asked whether I'd be taking holiday orders early this year. She mentioned that a short video I'd posted of Biscuit sitting directly on an unfinished lace shawl had been saved over 6,000 times. I did not bring up the flip phone. We walked back to Marcus's car in a silence that had a shape to it. Then Caleb laughed. Not meanly. The helpless kind that comes when someone has been completely and thoroughly surprised. Grandma. He said, you've been running a real business this whole time, and you never said a word to any of us. I said I liked my privacy. But how do you even? Jade started. She stopped herself. Gave a small shake of her head. Never mind. Obviously you know how. Marcus bought me a lemonade from a vendor near the exit. He put his hand on my shoulder and squeezed once, and that was quite enough. That evening, Caleb asked to see the shop. We sat together on the porch with my laptop and went through the listings, the reviews, the inventory spreadsheet I keep updated every week. He asked about the corporate orders, how I priced the custom work, what the shipping process looked like. He was genuinely curious in a way I hadn't expected. I didn't know you were doing all this. He said. I told him that people often don't know what other people are doing. That's why assumptions are expensive. He sat with that for a while. Then he asked if he could come back in December and help with shipping during the rush, and I said yes. I still use my flip phone. Not because I don't know better. Because it does exactly what I need, and I've never seen the sense in changing what already works. Gerald used to say the quietest people in the room are usually the ones who have already figured something out. I'm not sure if that was wisdom or just something he said on a slow Sunday afternoon. Either way, I've found it to be true more often than not. My waiting list is 4 months long now. Priya posted those photos the same afternoon, and by Monday morning, I had 47 new messages in my shop inbox. I answered every one. From my laptop, while Biscuit supervised from the arm of my chair, and Fig slept on the window seat, and my flip phone sat on the kitchen counter doing exactly what flip phones do. Tell me in the comments, has anyone ever underestimated you in a way you'll never forget?